to our esteemed viewers out there. You're welcome to Sports Orbit, reaching you from Leadership TV. My name is Afa Cho, and on today's edition of the program, we begin straight from the Ministry of Sports, where, of course, on Monday there was a serious thunderstorms in the commercial capital that is talking about Lagos, and it affected some floodlights at the National Stadium in Surulere, and as a result of that, the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has reacted to the collapse of one of the four floodlight masts at the National Stadium in Lagos. According to a statement from the minister's spokesman, Kola Daniel, only about a week ago, the outgoing Minister of Sports, Chief Sunday Dare, spoke about efforts to refurbish the abandoned sports edifice. Estimate to put the stadium, which has been abandoned for close to 20 years, was put at 21 billion naira. But rather than reason alongside the Honorable Minister, many critics jumped at it by questioning both the veracity of the figure and timing of the request, considering the fact that the tenure of Chidari as sports minister was fast running out. Koladari had stated, Kola Daniel rather, but while the scrutiny was still going on, a heavy rain and windstorm inflicted more destruction on the stadium. An immediate casualty is one of the four floodlight towers. He said, reports said that the 62.18-meter tall towers have been emblematic of the stadium since it was commissioned on the 4th of December 1972 by General Yakubu Gowon, then the military head of state. The floodlight towers are easily seen even many kilometers away from Surulere area of Lagos, but it is doubtful if any work had been done on any of the four towers since installation in the early 1970s. With each standing at 62.18 meters, it was problematic putting the towers in place during the construction of the stadium. The minister's spokesman pointed out that floodlight towers were not covered by the ongoing rehabilitation work. He said to properly put the need to regularly maintain our sports facilities has been championed by the sports minister, and to mildly respond to naysayers who think it is out of place to spend huge amount of money to renovate stadium. Giving the Manchester City example, he said he used actually the Man City home ground to illustrate his point. He said only this week the board of Manchester City wrote the council seeking permission to upscale the Etihad Stadium from 60,000 to 67 seats. The figures for the project has been put at 317 million US dollars, and a substantial percentage of the total sum is reserved for the routine rehabilitation and maintenance of parts of the facility, which at present is top-notch and ranked among the top five stadiums in England. This underscores the need to inculcate a variable and sustainable maintenance culture, and every structure is liable to wear and tear once put in use. Nigeria should therefore brace up to this fact and cannot afford to continue playing the ostrich. Well, for Kola Daniel trying to defend the rumored 21 billion naira that Sports Minister Sunday Dare had requested for, but uh, after a serious series of backlash, the Sports Ministry had come out to deny that the minister did not actually request for such a huge sum of money, but he only gave a rough estimate of what will be needed to renovate the stadium. Well, as it is, the floodlights of the National Stadium in Surulere, like you said, destroyed by thunderstorms, and now Kola Daniel is trying to justify why that money should be released. Well, giving the example of the Etihad Stadium, I think it's important to note here that the Etihad Stadium, the remodeling and of that stadium is not being financed by the government of the United Kingdom. So I think these kind of comparisons are baseless, if you ask me. I mean, this stadium are being financed by a Man City as a club, as a public company, and not money being sourced from the coffers of government. Well, we hope that these issues around the national stadium in Surrey will be resolved. And Daniel actually noted that the floodlights are not captured, were not captured in the rehabilitation that is currently ongoing. We'll see how that pans out eventually. Sad to say, although it's an old stadium, everybody knows that that stadium at some point needs to, go undergo some renovations. But what a lot of Nigerians were worried about were the sum of money. Some Nigerians have insisted that that sum of money is enough to build a whole new stadium. Anyway, away from that now to some other news. Of course, yesterday we told you about the draws for the Confederations Cup, and those draws are finally out. And of course, the biggest tie of the round of 64 will be Rivers United, who will be up against uh, Eyimba of Aba. That is Nigeria's only remaining flag bearers in African club competitions this year. Rivers United FC will be up against two-time CAF Champions League winners Eyimba FC of Aba in what is indisputably the star match of round of 64 of this year's Federation Cup competition. The pride of Rivers host Tanzania's Young Africans in the first leg of their CAF Confederations Cup fixture in Rio this Sunday and will then have the clash with Eyimba FC as vintage preparatory match for the return leg in Dar es Salaam. At the draw held inside the NFF Secretariat on Wednesday, Aqua United FC were drawn to play Wiki Tourists of Bauchi in another big game, just as multi-title winners Rangers International of Enugu will take on Adamawa United FC. Hadland FC of Owerri will have been drawn to play Jedo FC of Sokoto, while Kogi United will square it up to Milantaki FC of the Federal Capital Territory. The women's round of 32 fixtures were also drawn on Wednesday with Rivers Angels of Port Harcourt up against Golden Sun of Bayelsa State, and Niger Rattles of FCT will play Adamawa Queens. All round of 64 matches in the men's competition and round of 32 matches in the women's competition will hold on Wednesday, 26th of April 2023. The round of 32 matches in the men's competition have been scheduled for Wednesday, 3rd May, with a round of 16 on Wednesday, 10th May, while quarter-final matches are to take place on Wednesday, 17th of May. The semi-finals of both competitions will come up on Wednesday, 24th May, with the men's and women's grand finale on Saturday, 27th of May, 2022. So it will be interesting to see all of these matchups. But from the early stages, big matches coming up already. Like we said, Rivers United up against Eyimba. So as it is, one of these big teams will not go all the way to clinch the title. Well, we'll see how this year's Confederations Cup comes out. If you recall that last season's Confederations Cup was actually inconclusive due to some reasons best known to organizers of the event, but we hope that this year's event will go on smoothly as planned. Away from that now to some wrestling news where President of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Dr. Daniel Igali, says he's positive of a good outing in the Africa Wrestling Championship in Tunisia from May 15 to 21. Igali gave the hint at the closing ceremony of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation national team trials at the Dynamite Theatre of Wrestling in Denagoa, Bayelsa State. He said he was elated with the level of competition he witnessed in the two-day event, expressing optimism that Nigerian wrestlers will distinguish themselves at the championship. The commissioner explained that with the achievement recorded in wrestling in the last 10 years, he is targeting a medal sweep in Tunisia, stating that no sport has done better than wrestling in Nigeria. He noted that records in the Wrestling Federation speak volumes for the federation, and they are leaving nothing to chance to produce a five-star performance in Tunis, that is the Tunisian capital. The Olympian asserted that apart from the trial to produce athletes from the trip to the Northern African nation, wrestlers that will represent Nigeria in 2028 were also discovered, saying that the growing process has already commenced. Reflecting on the talents discovered during the trial, Igali stressed that the future of wrestling is bright in Nigeria, describing the event as laudable. No doubt for Igali, been there, done that, represented actually Canada at the highest level, won gold Olympics and gold medals at the Olympics for Canada. But after his illustrious service to his adopted country, Canada, he returned back to his country of origin, Nigeria, where he's doing very well as president of the Wrestling Federation. We can recall the exploits of Nigerian wrestlers at the last Commonwealth Olympics and, of course, sorry, Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. And in recent times, in most international meets, and Nigerian wrestlers tend to perform excellently in competition. So kudos to Igali and Wrestling Federation as they go for this championship in Tunisia in a few weeks' time. Now to some other stories talking about the Abuja Marathon. A lot has been said about this marathon. If you recall, in the last since beginning of this year, actually, I think this will be third marathon in Nigeria. There was one that was held in Jos initially, another one held in Jalingo, and another one is holding this time around in Abuja. And as it is, these marathon competitions are beginning to spring up here and there in Nigeria, which is really needed because when it comes to marathon, Nigeria has not done so well. But it's hoped that with competitions and tournaments like this, a whole lot of athletes will be discovered who will represent Nigeria at international meets, and of course for the activities leading up to the Abuja International Marathon, which will begin on the 29th of April, will begin on Friday, that's tomorrow, April 21, with the Marathon Expo. In a statement signed by the race director Olu Kayode Thomas, the Marathon Expo will start at the pavilion beside the International Conference Center right here in Abuja. The Abuja International Marathon is the first of its kind in Abuja and the Federal Capital Territory as a whole. The race is in three categories: the 5 kilometer for the students, the 10 kilometer family run, and the 42 kilometer for the elite and passionate runners. Thomas said the Marathon Expo will start at 9 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. Daily, the theme of the expo is showcasing the best of FCT. Runners will collect their running vests, goodie bags, transparent, and running number at the expo. Also, entertainers from the FCT Arts and Culture Department will be at the expo to entertain visitors and also participants. For those interested in the FCT landmarks and tourist attraction centers, officials of the tourism department will be on ground to take them around the FCT with tour guides that will answer their question. About 50 foreign elite runners are expected, while 120 local elites have been registered to participate in the competition. So, like we said, the competition will begin 29th of April. Actually, registration will begin, and it will be in most parts of the city. Will be closed to traffic on Friday, April 28th from 10 p.m. till 2 p.m. on Saturday, April 29, 2003. So this is hoping that this marathon will be successful, and who knows, one or two athletes will be discovered from this competition. We'll go on a quick break and then we'll come back. Sport will continue. Don't go nowhere.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
Welcome back from that break. It's still Sports Orbit. Now to some EPL news where it is speculated that about up to a good number of Chelsea players, just Chelsea Football Club, will face a 30% pay cut. It says some Chelsea players will have a 30% reduction in their wages after failing to qualify for the Champions League this season. That's according to reports. The Blues 2-0 loss to Real Madrid on Tuesday night saw them defeated 4-0 on aggregate in their Champions League quarter-final and facing up to the prospect of no Champions League football next season. It was their last possible route back into the competition for next season, with Chelsea currently 11 in the Premier League and 17 points adrift of fourth place Newcastle United. Chelsea owners Todd Bowley and Begdad Egbali have overseen a disastrous first full season in control of the West London club with Graham Potter, who replaced Thomas Tuchel earlier this season, winning just 12 of his 31 matches in charge before being sacked. Frank Lampard is back in charge at Stamford Bridge in a temporary role until the end of the season, but the former Chelsea midfielder has lost all four of his first four matches at the helm. And now the Daily Mail claimed that Chelsea's failure to qualify for next year's Champions League will cost players millions in wages as the club faced growing discontent within their squad. Following their arrival last year, co-controlling owners Todd Bowley and Clearly Capital have moved to implement a bonus structure to player contracts linked to Champions League qualification that will see their wages fluctuate depending on whether they are playing in the competition. It was a significant change from the ownership era of Roman Abramovich, who only rewarded players for winning trophies. Mail understands the club's most recent signings, or those who have agreed new contracts, will see their earning power slashed by at least 30%. Sources has indicated that some contracts have also been discussed, which have included potential wage increases as high as 50% linked to Chelsea being in the Champions League. The report says it is unclear whether the variable wage scheme will be enforced immediately or if players will be given a grace period. The decision to enforce an incentivized salary structure was designed to motivate players, but it also provides Chelsea with a degree of protection against the financial shortfall incurred by the failure to qualify for the hugely lucrative Champions League. In contrast, however, those who are on contract signed during the Abramovich era will continue to be paid their full salaries. Chelsea now have two London derbies in a row against Brentford and Arsenal as they look to salvage some pride from their terrible season. So, of course, reports have said that some stars face up to 30% reduction in their wages if, as it is, I doubt if they have any way back into the Champions League. And of course, some reports this morning had actually said that some Chelsea players are actually seeing if they could actually push for an exit out of the club in the summer, except the club comes out to give a proper direction of where the club is headed. Because as things stand now, like we read earlier, there's so much discontent in the team. Players are disenchanted, not knowing the direction of the club anymore. And we will see how that pans out in a few weeks ahead. Anyway, some Champions League matches went down yesterday, and of course, we'll take a look at results for Bayern Munich. It was a 1-1 draw, not enough to overturn that 3-0 they suffered in the first leg against Man City at the Etihad. Erling Haaland once again was on the score sheet yesterday, making it a 4-1 aggregate in favor of Man City. With this result, Man City have progressed once again to the semi-final of the Champions League, where they will come up against Real Madrid. And now recall that last year also Man City were also in the Champions League where they were knocked out by eventual winners Real Madrid. I'm sure this time they must have learned from their mistake, but when it comes to the Champions League, Real Madrid somehow knows how to, get past these things. Well, in the other fixture, it will be an all Italian semi-final, a massive derby between Inter Milan and AC Milan in the semi-final of the Champions League. And well, as it stands, it means one Italian team will definitely be in the final of the Champions League for the first time since how long? I think 2007, 2008, they're about, well, massive one for these two city rivals. One is hoping for AC Milan, last won the competition in 2007, but it will be a massive matchup for Inter Milan. They won it last in 2010 when Jose Mourinho was in charge, and so it's going to be a really, really massive encounter. These matches come up on the 16th and 17th of May 2023. Now, away from that, now for the Europa League, the return fixtures, that is the second leg of the quarterfinal of the Europa League, will also go down today. And of course, completely the star match of the encounter will be Sevilla, who will host Man United this evening. Recall that in the first leg of that encounter, United blew a 2-0 lead, while Sevilla had to come back. So, I mean, as it stands, it's all square now. So for United, they have to go for an all-win if they must ensure that they book a spot in the semi-final of the Europa League. If we have those fixtures, can we quickly take a look at them? But clearly, like I said, there's going to be a massive encounter between Manchester United and Sevilla. Sevilla, of course, playing at home, not doing too well in the league, but like they say, Sevilla are the masters of the Europa League, having won the competition 3 times straight, and somehow they know how to navigate this competition. But United will be having a couple of stars return, so it will be a full house for United in tonight's encounter against Sevilla. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one, and tomorrow hopefully we'll give you a complete review of that match, and of course updates and news about other sporting events as they happen across the world. Quickly, we'll take a look at these matches. Like we said, it's going to be Sevilla hosting Man United, while for Union SG, they will be at home to Bayern Leverkusen. First leg ended 1-1 aggregate. So for Roma, Jose Mourinho's Roma, trailing 1-0 against Feyenoord, playing at home, Mourinho will hope to do everything possible to ensure that he overturns this deficit. While in the other matches, Juventus will also travel all the way to Portugal to face Sporting Lisbon. In the first leg, Juventus won that one 1-0. So Sporting playing at home will fancy their chances against the Juventus side. So all of these matches come up 9 p.m. Nigerian time, and we'll keep an eye on all of these matches. Tomorrow we'll give you a complete review of the matches. Well, with that, we call it a day on today's episode of Sports Orbit. Tomorrow is Friday, like we say, thank God it's Friday. Another bumper package of the program awaits you. Until then, do stay safe out there. Have a wonderful time. And to our Muslim viewers out there, we wish you a happy end of Ramadan, and hopefully tomorrow is Salah, it's a public holiday, so we hope that you have a wonderful celebration. Do stay safe out there. Have a wonderful time. My name is Alpha Acho, and it's bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.